Hey guys, today I will be talking about how to get out of green ranks. Okay, let's just start out with some basics of this video. I won't be showing you any gameplay and I won't be smurfing at green ranks to show you how easy it is to fuck up green ranks with your whatever rank you are, because I think this doesn't help anybody. Anytime I watched, like when I was in green ranks, and I was in green ranks for over a year, I would watch all these videos from Frame Whisperer, from the main man, and especially the videos from main man. They were just hilarious. No offense given if the main man sees this. Thanks for the content, but all these videos about him playing at green ranks were just hilarious. I mean, there was a video, like a part of this video where he was playing against a green rank Alyssa. And he was constantly saying like, oh, look at me, you just have to step Alyssa. It's really easy, look at the strings, they're all steppable. And then he would attempt to step her 8 fucking times, and 8 fucking times in a row he would get clipped and die. And then he would get angry, electric her, do a death combo and win the round, and then say, just look at me, I just did this, it's so easy, you just have to step. Ignore that I just death comboed her 3 times in a row because I have crazy execution and good fundamentals. And I as a green rank was like, yeah, it's really funny, but this doesn't apply to me, this doesn't apply to green ranks, this doesn't apply to new players. Because you cheated by abusing your extreme execution and your extreme sense for the game. And if I would do such a video, it would be the same. I mean, obviously I'm not that good, but you know what I'm trying to say here is, let's start by doing some easy stuff. Why did the main man win his way, but not the way he wanted to show you? Because he forgot one important thing, because he's above that level. He's been above that level for over 5 to 10 years. He's no real green rank anymore. And so he forgot what the most important rule is in green rank. Out damage your fucking opponent. You have to out damage them. And you have to out damage them by taking the least risk possible. These are the 2 founding cornerstones of how you will get out of green ranks. Don't do unnecessary complicated shit. Deal damage, and deal more damage than your opponent. So, let's go back to the example with the main man and his sidestepping. Okay, if you know how to sidestep characters or to sidestep strings and you're confident that you can do it, and there is little risk involved in that, do it. Of course, if you can do it, but if you don't really know how to step, or if you feel unsure if your step will connect, or if you know that you will probably get clipped because this player is unpredictable, you don't have his timing, don't do it, just block it. Or duck lows if you know that this is a string with a low period. But don't take unnecessary risks if they don't pay off. At higher ranks, yellow, orange, mighty ruler ranks, you can do this more easily. Why is that? Because your opponent will start having patterns, because he now understands how to play the game. And you can more easily step because on one hand, he's throwing out less attack, so the chance of you getting clipped by random bullshit is lower. On the other hand, he will do it in bursts, like he has a timing and you can adapt to that timing, so your steps will go through with a much higher percentage. Also, and this is the most important thing, by that level you will be more experienced, and of course you can do sidestepping much easier, because you are better as a player. But back to green ranks. All those tips like step this, abuse this, blah blah blah, simplify it. First things first, learn your character. And by that I mean know which moves you want to use. You don't have to go to these top 15 moves list and learn every move and just apply them blindly. Go to these websites, research what moves are good for your character, and it's like learning a language. You don't start by learning 1000 words, you'll start by learning some very basic grammar and your favorite word. And this is the same with Tekken. You go, learn the basic rules, stuff like that. If you duck, you block lows and stuff like that, so that you have the basic concept. After that, you ask people or you go to those websites and see what are the best moves of your character, and little by little you introduce those moves to your game plan. For example, like the basics of basics is, a jab. You should know what a jab is, and you should know what your 10 frame punish is. And start by using only your 10 frame punish until you are confident with that, and then you can apply more hard punishes like 12 frame punishes, 15 frame punishes, etc, etc. But keep it basic at the beginning, learn what jabs do, and learn what your 10 frame punish is, and try to punish as much as possible. Maybe I'll make a video about punishment, but let's keep it at that at the moment. Same thing with what are your best lows, learn your 2 or 3 favorite lows, and then, okay, down forward 1 is a good move for most characters. What are your mid pokes? And learn your basic moves, your best launchers, and keep it as simple as possible. Don't overburden yourself with too many stuff, with too much stuff about your character, I'm sorry. By that I mean, for example, if you play Mishima, you don't have to know how to 5 electric combos or down forward 2 perfect electric with Kazuya. If you play in Asuka, you don't have to know how to crouch cancel after a counter hit for down forward 2. Do the simple easy stuff that, like, your priorities should be, on one hand, what are my fast moves to get out of pressure, and on the other hand, what are my not ridiculously risky but good moves which deal the most damage. For example, with Devil Jin, you shouldn't abuse sidestep 2 too much, because obviously this is a launcher which gives you very easy damage, but it's really crap. So you should have a sense for what moves are too bad, but other than that, try to have on one hand the big damage moves, and on the other hand the fast moves, like jab, down forward 1, quick low poke, get your space. Or for example, another move for this sake is power crushes. You have on one hand these quick moves and panic moves to get out of pressure, and then you have your pressure moves, good lows, launchers, which you apply to get high damage. And as I'm talking, this is about green ranks. In higher ranks you will find more nuance to that, and you will start to play much safer, but you don't have to care about being safe in green ranks. You have to care about minimizing the damage you take by getting in your safe space with these fast moves, get your distance, and maximizing your own damage by applying those launchers and then actually doing a combo. And this is the next and most important part, how to do Okizeme. What I've learned by going back into green ranks is, even characters I don't even know how to play, if I know good Oki setups, I win very easily, because people don't know how to get up at these ranks. If you have a way to get out of pressure, a way to deal damage, and a way to hinder your opponent at standing up safely, this is the core of your game plan, these ranks. Okay, let's go to another point. Don't play too passive. Don't be the guy who just presses back and never attacks. You can be defensive, but then I mean you hold back, let your opponent kill himself. Every time he does a punishable move, you punish some way. You don't have to punish exactly. If he does a -13 move, there is no shame in doing a 10 frame punish, but you hold back, let him kill himself for a bit, and whenever you see that he's hesitating or that you have enough distance, try to launch him. This should be your general game plan. Or on the other hand, if you are more comfortable with that kind of play, play very aggressively, don't let him escape your pressure. But I just want to stress out for all those people, especially Mishima players tend to have this problem, don't be too passive. Only be on the defense when you have to. Don't force mind games. Okay, this is the next step. There are no mind games in green ranks. The only exception is a hard 50-50, okay? If you play Kazuya, okay, your opponent will be able to guess between ducking and not ducking. But apart from those very, very, very simple mind games, there are no mind games in green ranks. Don't try to force them. Don't apply mix-ups your opponent don't even know. For example, if I play Devil Jin, I have a jab, okay, and I have a couple of moves that are +8 on hit. And +8 on hit with Devil Jin means I can do a back 4, which is a 17 frames mid, which is very hard to step. And anytime he presses buttons, I can back 4 and counter hit launch him. And if he stops pressing buttons, I can hell sweep. This is a mix-up that you can't really use at those ranks. You just have to always use the mid, because people don't even know that they are a -8 after I hit those attacks. So there is no reason for me to play any mind games. I should just force them to not press buttons. And this should be your mentality. Don't do any crazy shit that your opponent doesn't even know, something very specific, mix-up situations. Create what's called a frame trap and abuse this frame trap until your opponent stops pressing buttons, and then you can do a low or a throw. But keep it safe, because you can never assure that people stop pressing buttons at those ranks. For example, with Kazuya, you do down back 4, which is a +4 on hit low, and then you can do down forward 2. This is a very simple. I mean, if you do this at high ranks, people will punish your down forward 2 because it's so obvious what you're trying to do. But in green ranks, people won't punish your down forward 2, so it becomes a safe move. And this is a thing you should use for all your characters. You have a lot of moves with every character which are really unsafe or a bit unsafe and therefore balanced, but if your opponent doesn't know they're unsafe, they're OP. Abuse those OP moves, because you know your opponent won't punish them. Back 3 with Hwoarang, etc, etc. So back to my example. He does a +4 on hit low and then a counter hit launcher of 14 frames. If his opponent jabs or hop kicks or whatever, he will eat a counter hit launch. This is what's called a frame trap. You have plus frames and then you apply a counter hit launcher or a move that fits within these plus frames to your opponent, so that your opponent's only options are to either not press buttons or hold back or backdash, or basically he can't press buttons after that. These are the only kind of mind games you can apply at those ranks. Anything above that is just a necessary risk. Just do the simplest thing possible. Abuse everything. Okay, as I was previously talking, you have a lot of moves which are garbage at higher ranks, or which have a risk to them at higher ranks. For example, while standing 2 with Kazuya's launch punishable. Nobody will fucking launch it at green ranks. People will, if they even punish it, jab it. So just abuse Twin Pistons and while standing 2 with Kazuya, for example. Or Lily, do Matterhorns all day. Nobody will launch you for a Matterhorn if you're Lily. You should obviously try to your mindset should be abuse everything that you have, but try not to get, don't get it into muscle memory, don't let it become a bad habit. Do it consciously, but always be aware that you don't want to fall into flowcharts. Do it willingly, but don't stop abusing stuff. If you know your opponent can't break throws, throw him. If you have some very high risk, high reward moves, do them, because there is no risk to them. They are just high reward moves. I'm gonna switch this down. And what else? Yeah, out damage your opponent by using these high damage moves, which they have no risk at those ranks. Just throw them out. Snake edges, Matterhorns, launchers, anything really. So as long as your opponent doesn't punish them, they're safe, and if they're safe, they're really strong. So now we've covered your offense. Well, how do you defend at green ranks? This will be very simple, and of course, you won't win against everybody that way, but you will win against most people until you are out of green rank that way. So at the start of a round, you hold back and see what he does. If he whiffs, you try to whiff punish him, and while we're at it, whiff punishment is something that's really strong at green ranks, yellow ranks and orange ranks. It's hard, so don't stress yourself too much over it, but if you want to learn something very fundamentally driven, instead of learning how to sidestep, learn how to whiff punish first. If you know how to whiff punish, and if you know how to whiff punish good, in a sense like if you down forward 2 or launch your opponent for whiffs, then you'll jump right to orange ranks. I'm not even joking, so whiff punishment is super strong at those ranks. But back to my example, you hold back. If he whiffs something, you punish him. If he does something on block and you think it's punishable, you punish him. If he does something on block and it is not a plus on block move, it's usually minus on block, so you take your turn after he pressed button. But, and this is the hard part, and there is no easy solution to that, you have to learn some matchups, because of course you will be using strings and you have to know if this is just a single move or part of a string, and then you just have to wait until the string finishes and then act accordingly. So your general game plan should be either to attack mercilessly because you have a very offensive character, like for example, aggressive character like Dragunov or what's his name again? Miguel. With these kind of characters, your gameplay is a bit different. You want to try and rush down your opponent because he has no defense. But with most other characters which are not as good in offense, you just hold back. If he whiffs, you whiff punish. If he does something punishable, you punish. If he does something that is not punishable but not plus either, you take your turn with a jab or a down forward 2, and if it hits, you have plus frames, and then you can do whatever you want. Lay frames, whatever. And while we're at it, look at your frame data and not only the what is it on block frame data, but what is it on hit. Because this will be important. Low rank people will get hit by a lot of shit, and they can't react to if it is a hit or if it went on block. So a jab for most characters is something around +8 on hit, but only +1 on block. So if you can differentiate if some of your moves hit them, you can abuse crazy frame traps. Back to the example. You hold back and be as defensive as you need to be until an opening arrives. This is either because you hit one of your counter moves and you have a plus frames, or he whiffed and you didn't whiff punish but there's still distance between you, or he stops pressing button and becomes a turtle himself because he's now afraid of you because you punished him a lot of the times. You now have what's called an opening, like you can feel that he's now afraid of you, you have time to do stuff. Now you do stuff like snake edges, something you can abuse throws. This is the time for you to take your turn because your opponent is now afraid. This will not last forever, your opponent will eventually get frustrated and start spamming again, and then you have to react to that and hold back again, and etc, etc. This is the kind of play you will be having at green ranks. He will throw out random shit all the time, and I know that my tips won't suddenly bring you to yellow rank, because he has a lot, your opponent might have a lot of strings, maybe strings that lead to knockdown lows, or heavy flowchart. You have to learn some of this by playing, it's trial and error. But your general game plan should be as I described, and if this is your game plan, and you have, like, if you have this kind of game plan, and you know your character, and you can deal good damage with your combos, and you know what your best damage options are. Apart from that, try to streamline it. Don't do complicated stuff like sidestepping or perfect electricking or focusing too much on execution or Korean backdashing. Keep it as simple as possible to minimize the range of errors you can have, and then you just grind it out. That's it. You go into rank, keep it as simple as possible. Of course you can experiment with movement and complicated things from time to time, but keep it at an experiment level. Don't base your whole game plan on stuff you can't do yet. Go into rank and grind it out. And that's it. That's all you have to do. You learn your character, do all this stuff, then you hop into ranked, and then you play until you're at a rank where people stop abusing and mashing all the time. And this will take somewhere between 1 to 5 months. And once you're out of green ranks, people will start respecting you, and yeah, then you can watch all your Korean favorite streamers and you will learn how to play Tekken. I hope this helped you, and see you next time. Bye!